How to recognize when God is prompting you to end a relationship and what steps you can take to move forward in a healthy way. Number 1. Recognizing the signs. When it comes to relationships, it's important to recognize the signs that may indicate that God is prompting us to end the relationship. Some of these signs may include feeling a sense of unease or discomfort, experiencing a recurring gut feeling, or noticing red flags in the relationship. It's essential to pay attention to these signs and take them seriously, especially if they persist over time. One way to discern whether God is prompting us to end a relationship is to examine the relationship in the context of our faith. For example, if the relationship is causing us to compromise our values or go against God's commandments, it may be a sign that it's time to end the relationship. We can also seek guidance from trusted spiritual mentors or friends who can help us identify these signs. Number 2, praying for guidance. Prayer is an essential tool for seeking guidance from God, especially when it comes to making important decisions like ending a relationship. Through prayer, we can ask God for wisdom, discernment, and clarity as we navigate our relationships. There are different ways to pray, depending on our personal preferences and spiritual practices. Some people prefer to pray through journaling or meditation, while others prefer to pray out loud or with a prayer partner. Whatever method we choose, the goal is to create a quiet space where we can listen for God's voice and discern His will for our lives. When praying for guidance on whether to end a relationship, we can ask specific questions like, God, is this relationship aligned with your will for my life? Is this relationship helping me to grow closer to you? Is this relationship causing me to compromise my values or go against your commandments? By asking these questions and listening for God's response, we can gain clarity and direction on what steps to take next. Number 3, seeking wise counsel. Another important aspect of discerning whether God is prompting us to end a relationship is seeking wise counsel from trusted friends, family members, or spiritual leaders. These individuals can provide valuable insight, feedback, and support as we navigate difficult decisions. When seeking wise counsel, it's important to choose individuals who share our faith and values and who have our best interests at heart. We can also seek out mentors or counselors who specialize in relationships and can provide professional guidance. When discussing our relationship with others, it's important to be open and honest about our feelings and concerns. We can also ask specific questions like, what do you think God's will is for my life? Do you see any red flags in my relationship? How can I honor God in these situations? By seeking wise counsel, we can gain new perspectives, identify blind spots, and make more informed decisions about our relationships. Number 4, ending the relationship. When it's time to end a relationship, it's important to do so in a healthy and respectful way. This can be a difficult and emotional process, but it's necessary for our growth and well-being. Firstly, we need to be honest with ourselves about our reasons for ending the relationship. We can then communicate openly and respectfully with our partner, explaining our feelings and concerns without attacking or blaming them. We can also seek closure by discussing the reasons for the breakup and expressing our gratitude for the positive aspects of the relationship. It's important to take time to grieve the loss of the relationship and seek support from others during this time. We can also take steps to heal and move forward, such as seeking professional counseling, practicing self-care, and focusing on personal growth and development. It's important to remember that ending a relationship doesn't necessarily mean that we're giving up on love or that we're alone. Instead, it can be an opportunity to trust in God's plan for our lives and to seek His will for our relationships moving forward. Ending a relationship is never easy, but by trusting in God and seeking His guidance, we can navigate this process with grace and wisdom. Remember, we are never alone in our struggles, and God is always with us, guiding us along the way. Number 5, discerning God's voice. One of the key aspects of recognizing when God is prompting us to end a relationship is discerning His voice. This can be challenging, especially if we're not used to listening for God's voice or if we're in the midst of a difficult situation. One way to discern God's voice is through reading and meditating on His Word. The Bible provides guidance and wisdom on relationships and can help us understand God's will in our lives. We can also pray for God to speak to us through His Word and to reveal His will for our relationships. Another way to discern God's voice is through quiet reflection and introspections. We can create a quiet space where we can listen for God's voice and reflect on our feelings and experiences. We can also journal or meditate on specific questions or concerns related to our relationships, asking God to reveal His will and provide clarity. Number 6, trusting God's timing. When it comes to relationships, it's important to trust in God's timing and plan for our lives. This can be difficult, especially if we're feeling anxious or uncertain about the future. One way to trust in God's timing is to focus on the present moment and to seek His guidance for each step along the way. We can ask God to help us focus on His plan for our lives and to trust in His timing for our relationships. We can also practice gratitude for the blessings in our lives and trust that God will continue to provide for us. Number 7. Surrendering control to God. Also, one of the most important aspects of discerning God's will in our relationships is surrendering control to Him. This can be challenging, especially if we're used to relying on our own strength or making our own decisions. One way to surrender control to God is to pray for His guidance and trust in His plan for our relationships. We can ask God to help us let go of our own desires and to trust in His will for our lives. We can also surrender our fears and anxieties to God, trusting that He will provide for us and guide us along the way. Another way to surrender control to God is to practice humility and openness to His will. We can be willing to let go of our own plans and desires, trusting that God's plan for our relationships is better than our own. Number 8. Paying attention to your emotions. When it comes to relationships, our emotions can be a powerful indicator of whether something is right or wrong. If we're feeling consistently unhappy, stressed, or uneasy, it may be a sign that the relationship isn't working for us. One way to discern when God is telling us to end a relationship is to pay attention to our emotions and trust our instincts. We can reflect on how we're feeling and ask ourselves whether the relationship is helping us grow, or whether it's holding us back. It's important to remember that our emotions can be complicated and nuanced, so it's important to seek guidance and support from others as well. Number 9. Reflecting on your values. Our values and beliefs are a fundamental part of who we are, and they can play a significant role in our relationships. If we're in a relationship where our values are constantly being challenged or compromised, it may be a sign that the relationship isn't aligned with God's plan for our lives. One way to discern whether God is telling us to end a relationship is to reflect on our values and examine whether the relationship is helping us live out our faith. We can ask ourselves whether the relationship is drawing us closer to God or pushing us further away. We can also seek guidance from others who share our values and can provide support and encouragement as we navigate difficult decisions. Number 10. Taking actions. When it's time to end a relationship, it's important to take action in a healthy and respectful way. This can be a difficult and emotional process, but it's necessary for our growth and well-being. One way to take action is to be honest with ourselves and our partner about our feelings and concerns. We can communicate openly and respectfully, expressing our gratitude for the positive aspects of the relationship while also acknowledging the reasons for the breakup. It's also important to seek support from others during this time, whether it's from friends, family members, or professional counselors. We can take steps to heal and move forward, such as practicing self-care and focusing on personal growth and development. Conclusion. In conclusion, discerning when God is telling us to end a relationship requires paying attention to our emotions, reflecting on our values, listening for God's voice, and taking action in a healthy and respectful way. By seeking guidance and support from others and trusting in God's plan for our lives, we can navigate difficult decisions with grace and wisdom. Remember, we are never alone in our struggles, and God is always with us, guiding us along the way. Hallelujah.